I think we're all used to religious people arguing against anti-theism by arguing for the benefits of religious practice. Hitchens' career was filled with responses to those arguments. These days, though, there seems to be a growing number of secular people objecting to anti-theism as well, but for slightly different reasons. I can't say I know why that is. Maybe those people have always been around and I just haven't noticed, or maybe it's the influence of certain popular political figures. Probably know who I'm talking about. Either way, I think the objections to anti-theism, no matter who they come from, should be addressed. But first, let's clarify a few things. There's a difference between atheism and anti-theism. Atheism is just not holding a belief in any gods, while anti-theism is being opposed to theism or thinking theism is harmful. This logically implies the opposition of at least theistic religion. You can be one and not the other. Not all atheists think theism is harmful and even object to anti-theism, like I said. As with atheism, anti-theism refers to one specific position. As such, anti-theists have a range of differing ideas outside of that position. So in responding to the following objections, understand that I'm just speaking for myself as an anti-theist, although I think a lot of anti-theists will agree with my responses to the following claims. Anti-theists want to take religion from people by force. This could not be further from the truth. Forcing people to believe a certain way represents the absolute antithesis of my entire way of thinking. I'm an advocate for freedom of religion and oppose any law mandating the adherence to any specific ideology, whether religious or secular. I spoke with my friend and fellow anti-theist Shannon Q in preparation for this video, and I could not agree more with the statement she gave on this.
One of the reasons I so ardently advocate for anti-theism is to encourage and foster thought that is free from the constraint of imposed ideologies. Were I to advocate for the imposition of secular viewpoints, it would fly in the face of what I feel is the foundation of my anti-theism.
Now, sometimes when people object in this way, they're not saying that I want atheism legislatively imposed, just that I want to exert a strong social pressure on people to give up religion. Coming from secular people, it's often phrased something like, "You really want to strip away something so personally valuable from religious people? Who are you to take someone's faith?" It's a call for empathy, but it's completely misguided for a few reasons. I don't want to push someone from faith by any other means than education. I don't want to ridicule or guilt trip anyone until they crack or depend on any appeal to emotion. I just want to present factual information to religious people in an accessible way like my channel so that they have an opportunity to consider and potentially accept my points. There's no way I can take someone's faith from them. Religious people have the choice to engage with me or not. I'm not getting up in anyone's face. As irritating as an evangelist might be, in speaking publicly like I'm doing now, they're not forcing anything onto anyone if someone converts after hearing them, but for some reason, we're totally okay with that if it's a religious person, but not if it's an anti-theist. Simply speaking convincingly is not a forceful action, regardless of the message. Plus, if someone does leave their faith after listening to me, there are secular philosophies and forms of social support they can turn to for their existential and psychological needs. I'll even help them find that support if they reach out to me. I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone. I'm encouraging people to find alternatives to religion that are less harmful, and I only do that because I actually really care about them. My sense of empathy and my anti-theism go hand in hand. Anti-theists think all religion is always bad all the time. That's not actually true. This is the tricky thing with labels. Anti-theists do generally oppose theism and therefore usually religion, but that doesn't mean they're always opposed to all forms of religion or religious practice in all contexts. This is why I think it's usually better to just explain our positions to others rather than to describe ourselves using labels and expecting everyone to understand us. I'm okay with using labels as shortcuts to express who we are when necessary. I think that's an important thing to do sometimes, but we shouldn't rely on them to accurately characterize us. So anti-theists don't necessarily think that all religious practices are a bad thing all the time. I think the commitments to nonviolence in Jainism, to forgiveness in Christianity, and to charity in Islam are all admirable. But the issue that I still have with that is that all of those commitments are dogmatically mandated. The consequence of increasing human well-being is not cited in the reasoning believers are given when they're commanded to make those commitments. There's a relevant Sam Harris quote that comes to mind here. "Faith, if it is ever right about anything, is right by accident." When religion mandates beneficial actions, it does so for bad reasons. The problem arises when those exact same reasons can be used to motivate or excuse harmful actions as well. If someone is committed to a tyrant who usually commands peacefulness and charity, but sometimes commands monstrosities, blind obedience should absolutely be thrown off in favor of a system of self-governance which seeks to understand what actions lead to harm and then avoids them. If you'll allow me another analogy, it's possible for your dart to hit the bullseye even if you're blindfolded, but you're much more likely to do it if you just take the blindfold off. Anti-theists think all the world's problems will just go away if religion goes away. I definitely don't think that, and I don't understand how this objection could even be made, but I've heard it plenty of times. Saying, hey, this thing over here is a problem, is not the same as saying, hey, this thing is the only problem in existence. Religion is a problem, but it's not our only problem. I acknowledge that humanity would still have issues even if religion was seamlessly transitioned out of all cultures in favor of secular philosophies and community. But acknowledging that doesn't preclude me from saying that religion is a problem that shouldn't be ignored. This objection is often phrased something like, okay, religion may have its flaws, but even if it disappeared entirely, people would just find other reasons to behave irrationally. While I agree that people can and do find other ways to justify irrationality, this is a terrible reason to stop opposing religion. So just because there are other justifications for irrationality, we should stop fighting any specific one, even if it seems to be the most pervasive? Imagine that your doctor says that you have cancer, and when you ask them to treat it, they say, oh, well, cancer sucks, but even if we get rid of it, you'll statistically probably end up getting heart disease as you age anyway, so what's the point? Well, the point is that it's usually better to have one fewer diseases if you can help it. Ultimately, as an anti-theist, I don't oppose theism or religion because it's the greatest or only harmful influence in the world. I oppose it because it's at least one harmful influence in the world. And it just so happens that religion stems from the same kind of irrationality present in alternative medicine and political extremism and conspiracy theories, so I oppose all of that too. I'm a proponent of forming reliable epistemologies in order to ensure that the truthfulness of our beliefs justifies the level of confidence we have in them. We can make better informed choices for ourselves in order to avoid harm when we do that, and any institution that gets in the way of that, like religion, I'm against. Anti-theists think religion is the cause of harmful behavior. Let me give this objection some context. Say the topic of homophobia comes up and an anti-theist points out how Christianity and Islam propagate homophobia. Then someone interjects that, no, religion doesn't cause people to be homophobic. People are often naturally homophobic, and they just express that through their religion. That objection totally misses the point. Sure, maybe religion doesn't cause homophobia, but it's proved itself to be a means by which people can at least excuse homophobia in a socially acceptable way. If a system of belief consists of tenets that, if followed, lead to harmful attitudes and behaviors like homophobia, sexism, racism, pedophilia, classism, or acts of violence, it deserves to be spoken out against. It doesn't matter if a system of belief causes any of that. If it allows those atrocities when it's abided, it's part of the problem. Is it not better to just advocate for systems of belief that challenge any malevolent natural instinct over ones that are at least partially shaped by them? Religion doesn't have to cause a single harmful action in order to deserve opposition. It only has to allow harmful actions to persist. Now, I'm not saying that religion never directly causes harmful actions. It may. I'm just saying that whether or not it does is irrelevant to the decision to oppose it once it's so reliably been shown to contribute in some way. Some people bring up the influences of poverty, poor education, and social insecurity as causes of maladaptive behaviors within religious practice and think that they've orchestrated a total gotcha moment for anti-theists. But they haven't. My anti-theism depends in no way on the idea that religion causes harm, but that it, at the very least, allows it. Thanks for watching. I've been Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic. Thank you to Shannon Q for helping me out with this video. Make sure that you guys check out her work on Apologia and the Heathen Hour podcast. I don't think I've ever seen someone handle difficult discussions online as well as she does. Also, thank you to my personal sponsors, Adam and Rob. You guys are awesome. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel and check out my Patreon. You can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at GMSkeptic. And until next time, everyone, stay skeptical.